Hey, everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. I'm your host, Ben Cross. I'm so blessed and honored to be here with my friend and this great guy here, Bob Olmsted, President COO SIRVA. This is incredible to be here live in Fort Wayne as well. We got the Fort Wayne tallest buildings in Fort Wayne behind us. We're actually in the tallest building here in Fort Wayne. Bob, it's so good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, Ben.
Yeah, it's great. This is awesome. We're going to be talking about kind of what's going on in SIRVA. We're going to be talking about Bob, getting to know Bob a little bit, because as I've gotten to know you over the past few years, you have one of the coolest stories in this business. You've done a lot of really neat things, and always impressed with your kind of strategic vision and how relatable you make it. So really excited to talk to you.
Thanks, Ben.
Yeah. Get in the comments. I want to know who you are, where you are. Check in with us. Let us know if you're out there. Here, we're going to give people just a moment to kind of get in here. Hit that like button. Let us know what's going on out there. There you are. I see y'all coming in here. All right. Get in here with questions if you got them. Look at Shane checking in. What's up, Shane Burlinson? Connecticut's in the house. You got some Connecticut roots there, huh, Bob?
Yes, I was there for about 25 years. Raised my kids there.
Real quick, for people maybe that don't know kind of your history, before you got to this role, kind of give us maybe just a quick run through.
Yeah, I've been in the industry 30 plus years. Started with PHH, eventually became Cardis, went through the PHH Caldwell Banker merger, then the Primacy merger. And then I came to BGRS, which eventually was bought by Relo Group, and then Relo Group decided to do a joint venture with SIRVA, and that's when I joined SIRVA. And Tracy Morris decided to retire after I'd worked with her for 30 years, and then I've been working with Tom since then.
Very cool. Very cool. We got people coming in all over the place here. What's up, Tessa Boone? I see you there. Looking forward to the conversation. Christian there checking in. Amina from USI Law in the house. That's awesome. Desi Coleman is in the house. David Yakum. What's up, David? I used to work with you. He works for Coleman out there, an allied agent out in San Diego. William Joyce over there. Joyce Van Line's in the house. Jack Jampel from Stryker. What's up? Are you talking about Philadelphia Eagles already, Jack? Come on, Jack. There's one thing me and Bob agree on. We don't like the Eagles, man.
No Eagles. No Eagles.
You're a Cowboys fan, right, Bob?
Okay, we're done. The interview's over. All right. 47-year Giant season ticket holder.
There you go. All right. Well, I could try. I converted my wife. I figured I'd give it a shot. You know what I mean?
No.
Stacy Miller checking in. Chere, I should say. Jillian Guzda, Global HQ in the house. This is great. Keep them coming here. Hit that like button. Get in the comments if you got questions. Get them in there. We'll see if we can get to everybody's questions. So you kind of talk to us a little bit about your history, and here you are now, and a lot's been going on. We're going to get to kind of some of that, but I got to ask you. I spent a lot of time working for a North American van lines agent out of Detroit. And I got to ask you, what's the difference, or what is it like now having kind of responsibility for the van line side of the business? You've always been in the relocation management side, leading some of the most well-respected brands in the space. What's it like now having the movers?
Well, I don't know that I can give you a complete answer right now because I'm still learning. I mean, I got a great management team, and I'm just trying to learn from them and really see. But probably the biggest difference is, I have always managed household goods as a supplier, and to actually be part of a van line, especially, the great van lines of Allied and North American. It's just a learning experience and really looking at what's the value that we can bring to our customers. Obviously I spent a good chunk of my career working with companies that are owned by real estate. And, what's really hit me is that, not to offend any real estate agents, but real estate agents are a dime a dozen. But every summer, our customers and our clients are looking for a truck. They want a truck and they want a crew on that day. And the advantage that can bring to the process is tremendous. And, we're going to continue to work to make SIRVA by far the strongest relocation companies, but also make the Allied and North American brands even stronger, both on the corporate side, the military side, and on the consumer side.
it's kind of funny because as a mover, I've been a mover, in this business as a mover probably for over 15 years. And, I always felt like when, peak season would come and, stuff would hit the fan, I always felt like the RMC might blame us or, kind of throw us under the bus sometimes or whatever. And now, like, I feel like you can't do that because now you got the movers in house, So that's kind of a different dynamic for you.
Yeah, and I think that's part of how I've got to change my personality and how I approach things. But also, one of the things that I think I can bring to the van line is how can we continue to educate those movers that have really focused on the consumer market or the military market, and how can we get more people up to speed and stronger from a corporate standpoint. We probably have 25, 30 agents that are excellent on the corporate side. And then we've probably got a good half of our agents that are great on the military side. How can we bring it all together and really continue to just improve the process? How can we make the customer experience just that much stronger? And it doesn't matter if it's a consumer, or if it's a military member, or if it's a corporate move. I think we have an opportunity to bring some of the expertise that we have. And remember, we don't really have a busy season because, we've got Australia that has their busy season is just about to start. And then we've got Asia, and then we've got, the people in Europe and here in the US. So
we've got a lot of people checking in too. Get in the comments. Let us know who you are, where you are. Give Bob a shout out. Let us know. We got Susie Patton checking in. Susie here in Massachusetts. Bob is the best. It's a lot of exclamation points, Susie. Rob Zeitz, Ben Cross, you're not just a mover, you're a mover and a shaker. I kind of jiggle nowadays. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate the observation. Love you, Rob. Cliff Bierman, Atlanta, checking in. I started my career at Allied. I didn't know that, Cliff. Very cool. A lot of people start their career with SIRVA moving companies. Very cool. Well, you also mentioned something that I think is interesting that I didn't actually know. So I've been working for an agent of SIRVA, North American agent for a long time. But I didn't realize y'all actually operate your own boots on the ground moving company, Allied Pickfords.
Right. In Australia, we're one of the biggest there, and we operate on the ground. We have on the ground resources in Asia and in Europe that we utilize that for the corporate moves, our consumer moves, and the military moves. So it's a great opportunity. And in the consumer market in Australia, we have a great reputation, and we've got a great team over there, and we're going to continue to strengthen it.
Yeah, and I'm going to try to get to all your questions there, so put them in there. Vinny Valverde, what's up, Vinny? It's good to see you here as well. Michael Klarner for Mini Moves. What's up, Michael? It's good to see you, Big Mike. Before we get into kind of SIRVA what's going on now, what's going on in the future and everything, you mentioned, your career and everything, and there's a lot of folks that are checking in, they're kind of giving you a shout out, and you talked about your leadership team and everything. I want to just for a second talk about leadership, because when I look at a guy that's done all the things that you've done in your career and the role that you're currently occupying and all the stuff that you've accomplished, which we need another podcast to really go through your CV. But I mean, talk to me a little bit about leadership. Like, where did you learn that kind of leadership to lead an enterprise so vast as this one?
Well, first of all, it really, started growing up. So, my father was definitely the first.
Yeah.
And then, you think about the leaders that I've had over my career, Kevin Kelleher, Tracy Morris. Obviously, Tracy was the biggest influence on my career, having been together at Price Waterhouse, and then at PHH, and eventually Cardis, and then BJRS, and then here at SIRVA at the very end of her career. But Tom Oberdorf, who's our CEO now, has been a tremendous leader and has really given me some examples of, especially as I get into the moving business and the van line. So I've had some really good leaders that I've worked for, and I think what I try and do is take from each of them the things that I admire about them and the things that make them good leaders and bring it all together. But probably the most important thing is surrounding myself with smart people. I have an amazing team. I will never, ever be the one that acts like or says they're the smartest one in the room, because I am far from that. If it wasn't for my team, I could not be successful as a leader. I mean, a lot of people at SIRVA have asked me over the last month, since it was announced that I was taking on the moving side of the business, how I was going to do all this. And it really is surround yourself with good people. It's make sure that you have really smart people that can help drive and execute And quite honestly, they have to be different than me. If we tried to run this company with a whole bunch of Bob Olmsteds, it would be chaos. So, Sally Tomke, it's a shout out to you, because without you, there is definitely no organization in my professional life.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah. That's really great. And, I like what you said about not being the smartest person in the room. I always heard that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, as well. Right. I made that mistake early in my career where, I kind of thought I was the smartest at a young age, and, humility smacks you upside the head pretty quick, as soon as you start doing that. Adrian, what's up, Adrian? Melody checking in. First 13 years as an allied agent, then we changed codes in 2005. Looking forward to this convo. What's up, Melody DeVoe? Good to see you out there. Got some other folks checking in here as well. They're going so fast here. Get in the comments, hit that like button. All right. So SIRVA's been in the news, a lot lately, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of changes. Obviously, your appointment over the moving side as well as the relo side. I want to ask, what's been going on? Maybe you can give us kind of a rundown.
Well, it's been a very, very busy year for us. I mean, Tom Oberdorf has done a tremendous job of leading us through this time, and we've, very successfully, worked with our owners, worked with our lenders, and we've been able to restructure our capital and restructure our debt. And we are stronger than ever. We're a great company with a great balance sheet now, to be able to move forward. And that was all done with staying out of court, not having to do anything that everyone involved didn't agree with. So all of our lenders, all of our owners, we now have a new ownership group, which we're very excited about, that will lead us into the next phase of our growth. So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that new ownership, and I don't know, how much you can talk about that, but with that new ownership, I mean, does that kind of give you, a lot more leeway to kind of do the things you want to do and operate the way you want to operate?
Well, it's always going to be a learning experience, and we're just getting to know those new owners. But Tom Oberdorf will actually be recording something in the next couple of days, and it'll be out next week, and he'll get into a lot of those details, talk about the transaction, talk about how it went down, and again, it has been his life, and he has really led us through this process and has really done an amazing job to get us to this point. There's a lot of folks in this industry that, have either are owned or were owned at one point by private equity, and that can be a challenge. And we're all faced with interest rates that went up faster last year than ever in history. And, again, we were blessed with the fact that, Tom has a financial background. And Ryan, our treasurer, have just done a tremendous job of getting us through this. And we feel great about where we are in the industry moving forward.
Yeah. Michael, Lynn, what's up, y'all? Jana checking in from Brazil. Love the in-person vibes. Hey, Jana, good to see you on the Glomo team there. I got a question too, because, you came to SIRVA through the BGRS merger.
Yep.
Right. And, I know you've been a part of a lot of things in your career. How did this kind of compare to some of the other experiences you had with the mergers?
Mergers are always have their individual nuances. I think, if I look at all of them over the years, this is probably the fifth one in this industry that I've been intimately involved with. And, this was not as challenging as some of the others. I mean, let's go back to the good old days a long time ago where we brought Coldwell Banker and PHH together. That was definitely the hardest merger. It was the first, but the hardest. This merger, again, under Tom's leadership, being able to bring the executive teams together. And Tom did a good job of putting us all together. And then my initial job was to work through the integration and get all of our corporate functions brought together, and we did that relatively quickly. We've been able to bring the systems together. We were fortunate that we were both on a common system, but as everyone knows, those are always formatted differently, configured differently. But all of our clients are now using our SIRVA Connect platform, and now we're moving forward, and we're going to find more efficiencies and more ways to do things better. But it's been a really good process that we've gone through to bring the relocation side of the business together. And we were able to grow our mortgage business, bring Jeff Medley in to run that business. He had been running the operation, but he stepped up into a leadership role as we parted ways with Premia. But we've got great growth ahead of us with a great team.
When you think about a merger and you have these, big organizations like SIRVA and BGRS, right? I mean, these are really big, accomplished organizations, a lot of good people, a lot of good clientele, a lot of, what are some of the things that you think about when you navigate these, right? Because I see a lot of mergers going on in the marketplace, probably a lot more to come down the road. I mean, how does one go about navigating that?
Well, I think, it's, when it happened, when it was first announced that I was going to take over as president of the relocation side, and COO of the relocation side, the first text that I got was from Kevin Kelleher. And Kevin Kelleher said to me, culture, 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 focus on the culture. How can you bring the company together without creating a new culture? You can't necessarily have one of the existing legacy, as we always refer to it, cultures take over. You need your own culture. You need your own vision. And that was really the focus, was how do we bring people together? And there were some people that wanted to be part of it and other people that raised their hands and decided not to be part of it. And that's okay. That happens in any merger, but you have to keep moving forward. You have to keep looking at what are the synergy opportunities that you can bring together. Everyone knows that BGRS had made a decision in its past under Brookfield's leadership to not necessarily service parts of the industry client sizes. Well, SIRVA was the beneficiary of many of those clients and it picked them up. So we had to, bring those cultures together, bring those clients together, under Linda Smith's leadership, both sales and account management at the time of the merger. She did a tremendous job of bringing us together in the market and really instilling upon everyone the focus on the customer and on the client and on the prospects. I mean, we have had a tremendous run. This is always a streaky industry. You're always getting clients from another RMC or giving some up, but we have had a really, really successful run. And, I give a lot of that to Linda's leadership and her ability to bring that team together as part of the merger. And that's got to be the first. The faces that are out in the marketplace have to be the first group to get all together, have one culture and one approach. And we were very successful in that way.
That's awesome. Awesome. Shout out to Linda Smith out there, one of the best in the business. We got a bunch of people checking in here. Anandita Chaudhary from USI Law. It's good to see you, Anandita. John Alianello, nice job, Team SIRVA, he says. Hosea Botley, hello, Ben and Bob. What's up, Hosea from Reversal? Mike Falia, been a while, Bob. Good to see you on the show. Yeah, Mike, keep doing great work out there, giving blood and everything. Farrell Elliott, loving the positivity from you, Bob. Very cool. Yeah, these things are going kind of faster than I can get to here. Christian did have a question here. He said, Bob, what's it like to work with the credit funds people?
With the credit funds people? Yeah, well, I mean, going through that process, I am a CPA by background. So even though I run operations now, I do have that financial background. And quite honestly, I mean, my role in it was just to help bring everyone a level of comfort that we had our arms around our operation. We were finding the synergies that we needed to as we brought the companies together. We have a tremendous team on the corporate finance side. Like I said, Tom Oberdorf, was the CFO. He describes himself as a serial CFO before he became the CEO here. And Ryan, our treasurer, did a tremendous job. And, it's just working with another group and really looking at what are the opportunities that can benefit everyone. This is going to be a win-win, both in the short and the long term for everyone involved.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Good question, Christian. If you guys got questions, put them in the comments here. We'll try to get to all of them. Sean Luchin's checking in. Western Massachusetts in the house. What's up, Sean? We talk a little bit about the environment, that we're in right now, the business environment. I'm really curious to kind of ask you right now, what are the biggest challenges you see, like kind of facing just the general relocation and moving industry right now?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we are a cash intensive business. So the rising interest rates over the last year have been a huge challenge for all of us. But in general, when you look at the reduction in home sale, that clients just aren't giving that as a benefit anymore. The fact that we still don't know where work from home is going to land. Remote work, we see some impact on that. Now, large companies, the real big financial institution, the investment banks, even the professional firms being, some of the accounting firms or the large law practices, they're going to get everyone back to the office. People are going to go back. If Microsoft wants to have people back in the office more, they're going to. Those large corporations. And then the family-run businesses, they never really went home.
Yeah,
they had to be in the office. There's only 15, 20 people working in those small businesses. It's really the middle of the market. SIRVA is one of those companies that we're challenged with. Do you bring people back? Do you bring them back part-time? And then that impacts our business. How do you make sure that you continue to have people moving? We need people moving. Now, we're very fortunate. The military business, the consumer business on the moving side, through COVID, really helped carry SIRVA. So we're very, very fortunate to have those different lines of business to help it. But the corporate relocation business, it's right now, it's a challenge in terms of volume. Now we're having as I said, a good run with new client signings. Linda and her team have done a great job. And that's going to help us. But as an industry, we're definitely challenged in terms of the total population that's actually moving is still somewhat questionable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I got a question about that. But before we get there, I saw in the news this morning, shout out to my dad, Dan Cross in Tulsa. He's probably watching right now. He always watches and supports, which is really cool. Get in the comments, by the way, hit that like button. We'll take your questions as well. But my dad sent me some. Business Insider ran a article today that said JP Morgan Chase released a projection of 75 basis points, so 125 basis points. It's basically 3/4 of a point to a point and a quarter reduction projected through the end of the year, obviously in a couple of different rate cuts. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, part of me thinks great, right? Like, isn't that what we're looking for? But what are your thoughts on
as a consumer? Yes, that's great. As an individual, that's great. What we're looking for. My kids that are trying to buy homes, that's great. But I was actually on the phone this morning doing my weekly one-on-one with Jeff Medley, the guy who runs our mortgage company. And Jeff said to me, they got to stop talking about it because everyone's on the sideline. Everyone's waiting now. So, now a new challenge for us in terms of business. Do you make a relocation if you think rates are going to drop significantly by the end of the year? Or do you ask your new employer or your existing employer, let me work from my departure location for another 3, 4, 5, 6 months?
Yeah.
So, we do believe that the moves are going to continue to come, but they're getting stretched out and just taking longer. Right now is really going to be a tough end of the year because of that. Unless they can make a final decision and make some announcements and lower rates, it potentially is going to slow things down because people will sit on the sidelines and wait.
Well, and they've been sitting on the sidelines. I mean, not me. I'm doing my part, right? I mean, I'm moving this week, But I mean, I was fortunate. My realtor recommended me getting a 2+1 buy down. So the rate gets bought down 2 points in the first year. So instead of a 6.99, I'm getting a 4.99 year one. And year two, instead of a 6.99, I'm getting a 5.99. And then it goes back up to basically par where I bought it down to 6.99. I mean, it makes me wonder whatever happened to the ARM. The adjustable rate mortgage. I mean, I know that was kind of a bad word coming out of 2008 and everything, but I mean, it feels like it's almost like time for that to come back. I don't know.
Well, there's
something that's out there.
There's a lot of things that it's time for the come back. I mean, even mortgage subsidies. If you're with a large corporation and you're relocating, is that a benefit that we should bring back? Because most people that are going through multiple relocations in their career, if they get even a 3-year buy down, and they're going to move every 3 to 5 years, that's going to help them get there. But yeah, I mean, the ARM's still there. It's still something that is a opportunity. But right now it's going to start off even a little higher, and that's scaring people away. So it's going to be a waiting game right now, which is unfortunate for us as an industry. But there are still opportunities out there. I mean, we're going to the end of the government year right now. As we head to October, and we should see some pickup in government business because of that. At the end of every year, they make sure they get all their moves in.
Yep.
And then, as the military moves to this new program, there was an article today that talked about that they're going to start to ramp up the new program. Now that's, a big controversy within the van line business and with the agents. We've got to make sure that the drivers get paid enough to make it worthwhile, but I think everyone's working on that, and that should come.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting to see what happens as that GHC unfolds. We've got a question from Christian. Hey, get in the comments if you got questions for Bob. We'll try to get them all answered. He says, Bob, what about international moves? You analyze the challenges in the domestic market for RMCs. What about moves in and out of the U.S.?
It kind of goes along the same lines, but we are seeing strong business from our international programs, but it still has some impact in the same way. COVID had a major impact. Obviously, what's going on in Ukraine has had an impact. So we're still challenged in terms of seeing volume, but it is definitely stabilizing more than some of the domestic things that are being impacted more by the interest rates. But the remote work continues to be a big question mark.
Yeah, it's interesting, Christian, from my perspective. I mean, high interest rates impact, businesses as well. It's not just about buying a house, right? It's about, the cost of capital and cost of money and how, willing you are to invest in growing your business, and we're in the growth business, right? So, I mean, when companies grow, they import talent, from either domestically or abroad, right? So, I mean, we're subject to some of the same market conditions. While they may not come over here and buy a home, their employer is still bullish or bearish, kind of based on where market conditions are. So I think that's part of it, Christian. Sean's got a question, kind of also on the international side. Says, any significant changes in your clients on how they are managing the international moves and corresponding packages?
I think across the board, we're seeing more of the clients look at ways that they can maintain or reduce their cost. Core Flex has been a big thing even on the international side over the last 4 years. Kind of quieted down a little this year, but it continues to be something that people are looking at in terms of their packages. How can they put packages together that help them control costs, let the employee have a better experience because they're picking and choosing what's important to them and where they want to spend their money. Yeah. So that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, interesting. Along the global side, Amina has a question here. Amina El Gamal from USI Law. What's up, Amina? Good to see you. Hi. What role does immigration policy play in your global mobility strategy, and how do you stay ahead of changes in this area? Thanks.
Well, we do have a immigration practice that continues to educate themselves, and we supplement that with a network of suppliers around the globe. Obviously, we interact with some of the big players, also, but we really go about, and that is a key to any type of relocation that happens across borders. So we have a team that focuses on keeping themselves educated. And then we have a consulting services group that will work with our clients to keep them educated.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a really good point. I mean, and Nam Park did a really good job of outlining this at the immigration symposium up in Bethesda. I mean, you look at, what was it? 50% of the world's population had an election this year. I think there was something like 64, elections that happened this year. And along those, the immigration policy within countries was changing dramatically. I mean, big changes like in the UK, like in Singapore. There's speculation about the US, but nothing on the on the horizon really. But those things could really impact volumes in and out. I mean, I'd actually be kind of curious to hear what you're seeing and what you're thinking that's going to do to volumes. But like in the UK, for instance, I think they raised the prevailing wage like 50%. Yeah. So unless you're like pretty wealthy, pretty affluent, immigrant, you're not coming in, right? So I think we're seeing some of the carryover, some of these kind of nationalist policies, from years. I think some of it's flushing out, but I think we're still seeing it, and I think it is going to tamp down in the near future. But I also think, and this is kind of like the same thing with the U.S. domestic thing, when I learned about pent up demand in COVID, right? Mm-hmm. When you turn the faucet off, well, the pressure just builds, right? And then when you turn it back on, it's like whoosh, and I think we're going to see that in the housing market. I mean, if we get a point decrease in interest rates, and that corresponds to mortgages, people are going to rush off the sidelines and start buying, I think. And it's going to be kind of sweet because it's going to be in the winter time, so it's going to be countercyclical critical to our peak season business, which is what we've been begging the relocation gods for years.
Right.
Is, can't we just get people to move in the winter time, right? So I mean, that's really exciting. So I think whenever you are artificially kind of shut down volume, I mean, people have the unction to move. Businesses have the unction to grow, and these unctions just continue to build. So I'm excited about it. I don't think it's going away because people don't want to move. I think it's going away because of some of these policies, and I think as they change, it could get really exciting out there. Let's see here. We got Robert Wright coming in here. This is kind of a little bit more of a technical question. So Robert, I reserve the right to decline you. He says, is SIRVA prepared to navigate the additional costs and challenges with the SCA? You gotta talk about what the SCA is for all of us out here under the GHC, but I think it's more of the compliance regulations around the labor and stuff that comes along with, there's a lot of anti-contractor language and things like that that's embedded in the FAR contracts with the GHC. I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I mean, we're working with our agents. We're going to continue to support our agents that are big in the military. We are making sure that we position ourselves as the leader in the military market, which is the goal. But yeah, there are challenges. We don't know how all these challenges are going to be worked through. But we are prepared to work with our agents, look at what the costs of some of these changes are, and continue to talk with both Home Safe, who's the prime contractor, and Transcom, who's the transportation control at the military, to try and help move this forward in a way that can be a win-win and positive for all of us.
I want to ask you, Bob, hey, shout out to Jason Hall checking in. Yes, hello in the house. Thanks, Robert, for your question. Keep the questions coming. We'll try to get to them all. We're also getting into some personal stuff here with Bob and get to know Bob a little bit. But it's not all doom and gloom, right? I mean, what do you see the opportunities being? I like to let's throw some positivity out there. Where are opportunities for growth within the relocation industry?
Well, I think there continues to be opportunity to work with all size clients, both on their policies and to help them benchmark across the industry. But I also think that there's going to be some consolidation in the industry that's going to continue to help some of the players grow, and growth is going to be positive for all of us. And I think there's opportunity to look at the different lines of business. Obviously with us, we are always going to be a moving company, and our consumer business continues to grow. Our freight forwarding business outside of the United States continues to grow, and we're going to continue to look for those opportunities. And I think as we continue to get our balance sheet in order, which we have, we'll be able to invest in our technology. We'll continue to grow and bring better and better customer experience to the folks. And I think that's what's going to differentiate the players as we move forward, is going to be who is going to make the customer, regardless of where that customer is coming from. If it's coming from a corporation, if it's coming from the military, or if it's coming from just a consumer that needs to move, who's going to make the process the easiest on them? Obviously, in the relocation corporate space, we feel really good about what we're offering to the marketplace. Again, we have a really good sales team, a really good account management team under John O'Connell's leadership and Linda's, I mentioned earlier, on sales, and continue to listen to the clients and bring to the market what they need. We've got two really good IT leaders in John Kirk and Joe Janatis, and they're really good at listening to clients and continuing to find ways for us to improve the technology that makes the process better. So I think those are the opportunities to really make the process better. And then it's start to look for what are the other things that we can bring to the customer to make, the 6 months before they move, the 6 months after they move, the folks that are on assignment. Our compensation services is a great service for people that are on assignment for 2-3 years, helping them track the tax impacts of that, working with their tax firm, whoever's doing their tax prep. So I think there's opportunities to continue to grow and expand the service offerings, more of that, the share of wallet of what a client is spending. How can we help the client optimize that spend to get the best services for the customer?
Yeah, it's a really great point you have there. And Sean Luchin says, lucky to have Joe. And then Mike brought up a question about technology. And I think, Bob, one of the cool things about coming from the RMC side is you're closer to the customer sometimes than we have been on the moving side historically, at least the corporate client, right? So you kind of have a little more of that voice of the customer, that customer experience kind of in your DNA, maybe, perhaps. The question here from Mike is about the adoption of technology. Where do you see oh gosh, guys, you're killing me here. I'm 41, guys. What are your thoughts on the future of moving, the adoption of technology? Most specifically, your thoughts on AI in the moving industry.
Well,
Got to have a little AI.
Yeah,
AI on there.
You know, this always reminds me of my mother-in-law who said to me, "I want to invest in AI," and trying to figure out what that meant, what company she wanted to invest in. But AI is, hey, it's the buzzword, it's the challenge. I know right now Joe G's laughing. You know, we are very fortunate that we recently signed an agreement with Microsoft. Juan Carlos is a great partner. And, you know, we've been able to start to work with them to figure out how can we apply AI? What are the things that people can do with it? We have a number of people working with Copilot and really, you know, letting it help them shape their day and what they can do with it. And, you know, it's as simple initially as, you know, summarizing the conversation that you had with a customer to can it actually help us process invoices and expense reports quicker? What are the different things on the moving side? Can it help us, you know, review and make sure that the bill that's coming out of the agents through us as we create that, making sure we don't have to touch as much of it? Can it look at those pieces and learn the different nuances to make sure we can identify that everything's being done correctly in accordance with, you know, what the original estimate was or what the corporate client's contract is? So, you know, it's, hey, I wish I had better answers on how AI, but we're just learning, you know, what it could be used for and the nuances. And it's definitely something for 2025 that we're going to focus on.
Yeah, I think we all are, right? We're all trying to like dabble with it, and I think first we're experimenting on the individual level, and then like kind of taking those tools to work with us a little bit. You know, let's pivot into the personal a little bit here. It is love and relo. It's not just relo and relo. Okay. So Anadita brings up a really good question here. She says a question for Bob. Thanks, of course, for Bob. You have dedicated, nobody has questions for Ben. You have dedicated your professional life for almost 4 decades to global mobility. What advice would you give a young person looking to join this industry?
I think the challenge for joining any industry is what's the best way to start and to learn it and to really grow in it. And, you know, the most advice is take steps in your career that give you the opportunity to see every part of the business. You know, I am an accountant by trade. I took my CPA exam a really long time ago and passed it. I worked for Pricewaterhouse. When I first came into this industry, I came in as an accountant. I planned on being here for 3 years, get my MBA because Tracy Morris, thankfully, was paying for it. But then here I am. And as Tracy said right before she left, she gets the last laugh because I'm still here. But
did you think of yourself as a relo guy?
No, I did not think of myself as a relo guy until after 25 years when I moved to Brookfield and realized I was sitting in a room with people that knew nothing about the industry because I had an IT person, a finance person, a lawyer who did not come from the industry. So, but I was fortunate enough to move through every function in the operation, every function in finance. So in my career, I've run real estate, I've run household goods, I ran the original 2 military pilots that were canceled at 9/11. I was fortunate enough to be in account management, to be in client services. I actually, when I became a director in operations for the first time, I was actually made myself into a consultant for a period of time. God bless the customer who put up with me as their consultant. Hardest job in the industry by far, everyone.
It is.
I would never, ever want to be a consultant again. And I have made a career of trying to figure out, A, how can I make their lives easier? And B, how can I know which consultants are getting overwhelmed and when? But it's that opportunity in this industry to hop through different functions, learn the different functions so that you can learn the business. If you truly want to be, you know, a relocation person, that is the way to do it. If you want to build a career, you need to move throughout the business to learn the different functions.
Well, and you said move throughout the business. I mean, isn't that the business case for relocation? Is physically moving people throughout the business, right? I mean, you look at some of these, world-class companies, and they're putting people on rotations,
Right?
And they're rotating them through manufacturing, through marketing, through different regions. So by the time they come out the other end, they're prepared to lead a division or be a senior executive.
Right. And exactly. I mean, I think about my own son who, just graduated with his master's in international tax law. Why anyone would want to do that, I'm not really sure. But he's going to work for Amazon. He starts in 2 weeks after a cruise with his grandmother, and he's going to rotate through 3 different tax departments over his first few years there. What an opportunity to learn the business and to learn the different things that could be ahead of him.
Yeah, and learning by putting your hands on it and being shoulder to shoulder with people, I think is important. And honestly, the narrative is kind of coming back on that. You talked about, working from home being a really strong headwind right now that's been real sticky for us to push through as an industry. But I think the narrative is changing. I mean, yeah, do we all like to sit at home? Yes, we all like to sit at home. I'm the biggest home sitter you ever met. But at the same time, magic happens when we get together. And I think people are seeing that starting to happen. Sandra Clary says, I can't even remember 41, Ben. Dig up some pictures, Sandra. I'm sure it was lit. Good to see you, Sandra. Love you. Get in the comments here if you got questions, comments. We're going to get a little more personal. Bob, how many kids do you have?
I have 11 children. I have 7 grandchildren.
Nobody had that on their bingo card.
I have almost every combination of mine, hers, ours, except actually I don't have ours. Yeah. So yes, we have 11 children.
That's really cool. How do you balance your sizable family obligations with the sizable career obligation that you have?
First of all, you have to have a partner. So that's a huge part of it. But it is a balancing act, but it is also, making sure that you are present in the moments that you need to be present for. Ben, you and I were talking about, I'm about to embark on a world tour where I'm going to go I'll be in the Netherlands next week. I've got to go to Australia. I've got to go to Bangalore, India. I've got to go to Singapore and Manila. I've got to go to France. I've got to go to the UK. All those places now.
And how many months are you doing all that?
I'm going to probably do that between now and the end of the first quarter.
Oh my God.
Now, I will be home between now and Thanksgiving. I will be home every Thursday night because Friday night lights here in Indiana.
Yeah.
There's 10 football games for high school, and I will be at every single one of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Somebody said, did you say 11? Yes, 11. Correct. Christian says, do you ever sleep?
Yes, I do actually.
Where's that on your priority list?
I honestly,
because you take care of your health. I mean, I see you got the water going, and you're
I have
healthy.
not always taken care of my health. I've recently been doing a much better job of that. No, I actually have no problem sleeping. I lay down, I close my eyes, and I'm asleep.
And
so
you're done.
I am not one.
How
of
many
those
hours
people.
you get, Bob? How many hours?
Probably a good 6 or 7 every night, if not maybe even a little more.
4 to 5 REM cycles.
But I also take I almost every day, and I'm hoping Tom's not watching. But almost every day, I take about a half an hour cat nap right around 12, 1 o'clock. So actually, I haven't done that as much since I've lost 30 pounds. So
yeah. All right. Well, I'll be sleeping all day then. Mike Felias says, good for you, Bob. You should be at all the Friday night lights. It means so much to the kids. Mike Felias, he's talked to me about this all the time when I was having my kids, and they're getting a little.
Well,
bigger.
Mike and I remember when the kids were little, and when we first met, we used to talk about it, and little shout out to Prairie Heights last week, 56-14 win. Mackey 3 touchdowns and 2 running.
2 running touchdowns and 3 passing touchdowns. That was your son?
That's my stepson. Yeah.
Wow. 5 touchdown game. That's big. Adrian Grimes says in Indiana, football happens in Indiana. Now he refs high school football down in Texas. Okay.
Okay, so that's true. Okay.
So shots
I'll give you that.
In the comments here.
We're at, let's see, 8, 9, 10. He's going into 11. So 4 years at the Manning Passing Academy. So
wow.
I know how crazy those Texas parents can be about football.
Wow. People are saying, I thought my 4 kids were tough. Yeah.
Yeah. Once you hit 3, it doesn't matter. Once they outnumber you, it's all over. I tell my children all the time, 2 kids, you have 2 hands for a reason. Ashley and Emily did not listen. They're already up to 3 and 4. So
Mike Felicia, sounds like we need to see you posting some highlight videos, Bob. We need some highlight film out here. This is really cool. Love the transparency, and I love how you put family first. That was one of the things that always struck me. It's hard. It's something I deal with too. I'm traveling all the time. I'm trying to be everywhere. Everything's going on, and I got a 6 and a 9-year-old boy at home, and I think about it all the time. And now they're not very good at sports at all, so maybe that's a good excuse not to be there. But if they were better, right, I'd show up.
Are they like you?
Yeah. Well,
I
was deceptively agile back in the day. Okay.
Well,
now I chair dance.
Hey, blindside. If you're a left tackle, you're in it. You're in it for the money, man.
Nice. Very cool. Very good. We've got some topics here. I got a top 5 and an overrated, underrated. We're gonna keep Bob here till the sun goes down here in Fort Wayne. No, just kidding. Let's get a top 5, and then I'm gonna make y'all wait for overrated, underrated. Get in the comments, hit that like button. Tell us if Bob is right or wrong here. Okay.
Oh,
Michelle Guzza says 3 kids, no more. Man to man, you have to drop back. That's right. What do they say? They say you have 1 kid, you're double teaming them, right?
Yeah.
You have 2, you're playing 1-on-1, right? Man to man. You have 3, you're playing zone, right?
Yep.
You have 4, and what? Well,
it's all over.
Just run.
Yeah. No.
And then retreat.
Then you just keep them alive.
There you go. Awesome. Let's get into the top 5. So Bob Olmsted's top 5 sporting events. Number 5. It's gonna be up here for you, Bob. Prairie Heights football or volleyball games.
Yep, that this year, football and volleyball, Prairie Heights High School. So, like I said, I don't miss Friday Night Lights. Unfortunately, with Marley, since it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, most games, I don't make them all. But she's a senior, he's a junior, only got a couple more years.
All right, nice. Number 4, SCNM
Okay,
Hurricane or
Club in New
Typhoon
Milford,
game.
all of you Connecticut folks. So the Hurricanes and the Typhoon. So that would be Abby and Lizzie and Catherine. Games against Brookfield or Southbury. Those were the battles back in the day.
Nice.
So I coached and was part of the soccer club in New Milford for almost, 15 years. So the Hurricane were probably our first team that my buddy Anthony and I coached, and when we didn't know any better. By the time we got to the Hurricane Juniors, which were Abby's, I had to follow the rules a little more because Anthony and I had gotten in all the trouble we could. We never ever won a sportsmanship award at any tournament, but we won a hell of a lot of tournaments.
I love it. Mary says, "Let's go SCNM." We have some soccer fans. Let me ask you, what's your favorite age to coach soccer?
Well, first of all, once they hit 11 years old, no parent coaches anymore.
Okay.
So that was a rule I brought to the soccer club in New Milford. Because that was, I will tell the story, and she'll probably get mad at me if she's watching. When my daughter Elizabeth stood and watched the girl receive a pass, turn and shoot, she's walking back to the kickoff. I'm like, Lizzie. She turns to me and says, "What? You want to know what I was doing? I don't know what I was doing. I know I should have gotten them." And my buddy Anthony said, "We're done," and we hired coaches after that. But no, I like that first year of travel. So that would be like U9. When they're still on the small field, that's to me the most fun.
Nice. Will Joyce Jr. says Southbury football games were intense. Nice. There you go. So a lot of Connecticut folks out here. Abigail, have a great day. Yeah. What's up, Abby? Let's see here. Let's get to number 3. Giants Super Bowl ruining the Patriots' perfect season.
Like I said, I have had Giants season tickets. This is going on 48 years. I had gone to the first 3 Super Bowls. Obviously, the third one I don't like to talk about, when the Ravens beat us. This Super Bowl, I actually stayed home with all of my children because I couldn't figure out which one of them to take. Sorry, Billy. I know that should have been you, but Mary would have killed me. So we never thought that until
because they're on a roll, the Patriots couldn't be stopped.
Before Super Bowl Sunday, we did not believe that we had a shot. We woke up that morning and we were convinced we were going to win, and we did. And it was definitely the greatest.
That's awesome. Let's see here. Sean saying, "I'm not cool." Yes. Number 2, World Series game in the old Yankee Stadium. What's the difference between the old and the new Yankee Stadium?
There's no comparison. The new Yankee Stadium is way too open, way too modern for my liking. The old Yankee Stadium playoffs, World Series. I went to almost every a game in the World Series from the time I can remember with my father until they shut down the old Yankee Stadium. But the old Yankee Stadium, we had, being Cardis, had seats right in the loge section. There was nothing louder, nothing more exciting than being there for a playoff game or even better World Series game. And there was just nothing like the old Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I concur. I mean, I wasn't a Yankee fan, but one of my stepfathers was, and I got to go to a lot of them. And actually, my mom saw David Wells' perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Yankee baseball is something else. Let's see here. Rob Zeit says the Patriots are so good they actually enhanced other teams' Super Bowl wins. You're welcome. Jillian said my dad went to that Super Bowl. Oh really? Where was that one, Jill?
Arizona.
All right, Arizona. Very nice. Number 1, Giants 86 Super Bowl.
Nothing will ever compare to the first. When, I mean, I started going to Giants games in 1976 when they moved to the Meadowlands in Jersey. I lived about 20 minutes. I grew up 20 minutes. Shout out to Jersey. And there was nothing that will ever compare to that Super Bowl. The buildup to that Super Bowl was just tremendous. Over, watching how bad they were. I stood in Giant Stadium and watched Herm Edwards pick up the Miracle of the Meadowlands and run it in to win that game.
Herm.
And there's nothing that ever has compared. Now, the Hurricanes had gotten, or the Typhoon had gotten to the state championship. That might have compared. Mackey, you got 2 more years, win the state championship in Indiana. That will be number 1 on the list.
Yeah, awesome. All right, very good. Yeah, wow, the 86 Super Bowl. I remember, it's funny. I remember a lot about those 80s Giants teams, even though I was a Dallas fan growing up in White Plains, New York. Remember a lot of those folks.
That's just a problem.
It was hard. It was difficult, but I was born in Texas. I come by it honest, as my dad says. All right, let's get to the overrated, underrated. Okay, now's the time to hold Bob accountable for his decisions. Okay, overrated, underrated. We're gonna give you. Do you know how to play the game? It seems straightforward, but there's a twist.
What's the twist?
Overrated, underrated. I'm gonna give you a topic. You tell me if it's overrated or if it's underrated. Those are only 2 options. Okay? Don't deviate. All right.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you if you're correct.
Okay.
All right, let's get into it. First one up. Fancy cars.
Overrated.
All right, defend your position.
Suburban. Suburban's the only vehicle that you need to drive.
I mean, some people might call that fancy.
I've had 5. Not back in I've had 5 of them.
Okay.
The first one that I bought.
Did it have like the beaver wood on the side?
It didn't have the beaver wood. That was the Ford LTD wagon I drove in college. No, my first Suburban had 3 bench rows, so you could fit 9 people in it.
Yep.
Cloth seats.
Yep.
Of course, it was Giants blue.
Oh, geez.
So
sounds lovely. Sounds like a wonderful car.
You don't need anything but that. Tom and I laugh about that all the time. Tom Oberdorf, because he has a Tahoe. I had a Suburban. Drew Coolidge, if you're listening, would pull in his Tesla, and we would laugh at him.
Let's see. David Yakum says overrated. Well, David, you're driving all over San Diego County these days, aren't you? Let me know. Adrian Grimes says, I don't want to drive a boat.
Well, I have one of those too.
Yeah.
But I don't drive that either. The kids do.
Yeah. I don't know. I always had crappy cars growing up, and I got myself some nice little Napa leather on the inside, not Giants blue, thankfully. I don't know. I think once I have a nice car, then I'll say they're overrated, but I've never had a nice car. So I need to get one to hate one first, I think. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, in principle, what kind of car you got now, Bob?
Mazda CX-9.
Nice.
I needed a 3rd row for the grandkids, but I didn't need the storage space to go on road trips anymore.
What's funny? I know a lot of presidents and CEOs of relocation companies, and it's really interesting to know to get in their car. They don't give me a ride. I don't know why. For some reason, I try to fit my butt in a car, but I do, and I get to see everybody's car, and you can learn a lot about somebody by their car, And I look at the way that people run companies who have kind of more austere cars, more practical cars, and then I know a couple that have pretty fancy cars. So that's interesting. All right, for that you win this point. Okay, Bob. Overrated, fancy cars. All right, next, moving on. Nina says 1,000% Suburban. Nina Arnaz. What's up, Nina? Good to see you. Employee engagement.
Underrated. Most important thing that we do as leaders. We have to be engaged with our people. We have to be like, hey, it's almost like your children. You got to be present.
You know what I like about the way you said that? I've never heard anybody describe it this way. I always think employee engagement is how engaged the employee is with the company. And the way you phrased it was we have to engage with our employees. So it puts the onus and the action on the leader.
Yeah. And I will tell you, anyone and Nicole Harrington, I see that you had a comment, and so you can chime in on this. But anyone that's ever worked for me knows I say I have the easiest job. My job is to make sure they can all do their jobs. Because quite honestly, if they can all do their jobs, I don't really have that much to do. My job is to break down barriers and to find better ways for them to be able to engage with their customers. So you have to be able to be engaged with your employees to know what's going on.
Yeah, I heard somebody put it, as the leader of the company, your job is basically just to communicate, make sure everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing and what the priorities are. And Aditya says, amen, we have the exact same value as a priority. Yeah, for sure. All right, you know what? That was an easy one. That was a softball. Okay, fine. That's 2 points for Bob over here. I'm throwing them underhanded these days. All right, employee engagement, underrated, very good. Brandon says it's very true. Yes. All right. Now they're going to get harder at some point here. All right. Next one up. Retirement, overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Really?
Absolutely.
Really? You're all trying to get there. We're all in a hurry to get retired. Why is it overrated?
I would drive Sandy crazy if I was home.
Yeah.
So no, I get asked this question all the time. 58 years old, I got at least 12 more years in me, if not more.
You know what? I so agree with you on this. I was having this conversation with my cousins the other night. She's like, I want to retire when I'm 54. And I'm like, to do what? What are you going to do? Like full-time crochet? Like, what are you going to get into at 54 when you have like so much, energy still? What are you going to do? And plus, then you retire and people die. Like,
that's what I was going to say. I saw someone say something about Coleman. On there at one point, let's talk about Bear Bryant. Bear Bryant, who retires, what happens? He's gone shortly after that.
Yeah.
Never should have left the sideline. Yeah, he'd still be coaching today.
Yeah, he'd still be coaching today. And then Saban would have never even been there.
Yeah, Saban wouldn't have been anything. He would have just been an ex Miami Dolphin coach.
Love it. Yeah, I think I think retirement, I'm going to say something unpopular. I think retirement is for people that don't like their work. And I think if you like your work, same thing about work-life balance to an extent. Obviously, you don't want to, give yourself an aneurysm, but I think the same thing about work-life balance. Work-life balance is for people that don't like their work, so they're trying to balance it out.
Well, or there's also another group of people that might love their work, but they can't ever shut off their brains.
Yeah.
So they don't sleep at night. They just keep going. And, you got, for me at least, I have to be able to put things in little compartments in my head and be able to turn it off.
Meanwhile, my team, Adrian, says, I got 10 years left, Ben. All right. Don't get attached. All right. He said, I'm retired. Live life and travel. Good for you, Adrian. Adrian's been traveling. You work and travel. He just went to Colorado. And Aditya says, overrated. Yeah. And Aditya works her tail off, and she travels all the time. Christian, going back to college, writing books, mentoring. Those all sound lovely. Sure. You can do that now, though. I don't know. 3 points for Bob. All right, you got a field goal going into the fourth inning of 5 here. Next one up, being a dad or a papa.
Oh, definitely underrated. Definitely underrated.
What's it like being a grandfather?
Oh my God, it's so much fun. Okay, last night I was at a volleyball game with one of my granddaughters. Mm-hmm. She asked for a hot dog. She took like one bite of it.
Did you eat the rest of it?
No. Sandy got a pretzel with cheese, and because Sandy got it, she only got a little piece. Peyton ate that whole thing. Then what did she have after that? Oh yeah, a dilly bar. I got her a dilly bar. A dilly bar is it's a Dairy Queen ice cream on a stick that's covered with chocolate and vanilla. Why not? And you should have seen the mess on that. Just a mess. And then just for good measure, I went and got her some Sour Patch Kids, which I did have. I did have a couple Sour Patch Kids. I'm not supposed to, but I did. So yeah, no, being a grandfather is great. And don't get me wrong, I honestly thought being a father was a great thing too. I have 8 girls. So you never really stop being a father. I just had one come home in the last few days who just moved back here. So I'm trying to get them all to come to Indiana. It's kind of hard to get the Connecticut, New York crew to pack up and come to Indiana, but that's my objective. I want to have my own little neighborhood.
The compound,
which is kind of funny because I don't want to be anywhere near my sisters, but I want, to get all my kids here.
Olmstedville. Yeah. That's cool. I look forward to that one day. It sounds really awesome. All right. Well, what am I gonna say? I got to give you that one. Shoot, that was a meatball. All right. The next one up. He's got 4 going for him. Oh, all right. Here we go. We're going niche here. The boss, Bruce Springsteen's lyrics.
Always underrated. Always underrated. There's nothing better. You asked me earlier to, what's the favorite lyrics, and
give me an example. Give me one.
There are so many songs at different parts of my life, but
because we all know, do we all know the hits, the classics, the refrains?
Yeah, of course. You know Thunder Road. You know Born to Run. You know The River. You know The Rising. You know them all. But you got to go all the way back to Greetings from Asbury Park.
Okay.
And you have to look at Growing Up. And my 2 older daughters know, they fell asleep to it as their lullaby every night. And then, one of them is, going to dance with me at her wedding to it.
Oh my gosh.
The other one did Thunder Road because she's named Mary. Okay. Not after the song, even though I like to think that, but she wasn't. It was after her grandmother. But you think about Thunder Road. I'm not Thunder Road. You think about Growing Up. The line, I was the cosmic kid in full costume dress. I joke all the time, but I sort of have some truth to it, that I spend my life tricking people, that, I was a punk from Jersey. I should never be where I am today. Like I said, I'm never the smartest one in the room. But my feet, they finally took root in earth, but I got me a nice little place in the stars. And I swear I found the key to the universe.
Wow. Yeah.
You think about those lyrics, that is a lifetime right there.
Yeah.
And it's just great. I mean, I probably shouldn't admit this, but I think I've seen him at least 150 times, if not more, live. There is nothing that compares to it. Awesome. Great shows.
Love that. I love the context. Thanks for sharing about growing up too. I kind of grew up the same way in New York. I was going through some old photos and I was like, who is this jackass right here? And how did I end up here with all of y'all out there? Let me ask you, where's the best place to see Bruce?
Jersey. It's got to be Jersey.
Anywhere in particular? Is it the PNC or the Stone Pony?
Well, I mean, I once saw him in the Stone Pony. Obviously, nothing compares. But you go back to the old Meadowlands, what was Brendan Byrne Arena. That opened during the River Tour. He was the first concert ever there. I saw him 10 nights there during the Born in the USA tour. I saw him across the street at Giant Stadium 10 times on the same tour. So either there or Madison Square Garden. I will say, though, Philadelphia Spectrum, as much as I don't like to give Philadelphia credit for anything, they call the city of brotherly love. If you ever go there as a Giants,
they're like brothers. They just beat the crap out of each other.
If you ever go there as a Giants fan, you got to be careful. Don't dress like it because you might get killed.
Or Santa Claus.
But the first time I ever saw him was 78, 79, New Year's Eve in the Philadelphia Spectrum. And obviously, that goes back to, being one of the, I feel like I was born on that day. That was, an amazing show. I didn't even know who I was going to see. Rob Fenton. His brothers threw us in the back of a station wagon and took us there, gave us little Rolling Rock beers at whatever we were.
The little rocks, the little pebbles.
12 or 13.
Love it. I love it. We got people in the comments here loving the Bruce singing in the comments. Jennifer says Bob wins that one. Yeah, it's going away. 5 for 5. Very nice. It was a good outing here for Bob. Next time we're going to make it harder on him. Christian saying he learned English to Bruce Springsteen.
There you go.
Wow. There you go. So now, does that mean you talk with a Jersey accent?
Does he have a Jersey accent?
Love it. I know we're over time here. Hit that like button. Get in the comments. Tomorrow, I am moving tomorrow. I don't know why I'm here when I should be moving.
Because
My
North
wife-
American is at your house and everything's under control.
Everything's
It's not
under
a problem.
control.
North American Van Lines
Yes.
is packing today.
Shout out to EE Ward Moving and Storage, Brian Brooks, all the sponsors that are taking care of the move, CMS doing a third party out there. Shout out to all the people that are helping out on this, taking care of my house while, you know, my wife and kids are there probably going nuts right now. And I'm here with Bob and you guys right now. But yeah, so I'll be back there tomorrow, kind of giving you a glimpse into my move. I'll be talking about tips and tricks and how I did it, choices I made, things I do differently, things I highly recommend you do. So anyway, you want to tune in for that same time tomorrow. Bob, you want to leave us maybe just with a final thought as we close out?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the final thought is that, you know, for everyone out there, if you're part of a corporate program and you're looking for a relocation company, there's no one better than SIRVA. We have grown this company by bringing together two of the best in the industry. Under Tom's leadership, we've just gotten better. You know, as I talked about the technology under John Kirk and Joe G's leadership, you know, is no one can compete with it. We are positioned ourselves to continue to grow. The rumors out there are all false. We are not going out of business. We're stronger than ever, and we're going to continue to grow. On the moving side, I promise all of you out there that are concerned with this military program, we will support you, and we'll help figure out how to do this. But we have to improve that product across the board, and it's not just the move side. I was talking with one of the spouses who runs a not-for-profit late last week about the reimbursement process that military families leave $1,000 to $2,000 on the table during a move because it's so hard to get the funds reimbursed. Mm-hmm. So I know the movers that are out there and are touching those moves every day are doing a great job. It's the bureaucracy, it's the process, and we have to streamline it. And this is a step in that direction, and we're going to work with everyone. Then on the consumer move business, there's no one better. You know, by the measures, by the trade associations, we're doing 47% of the moves in America, and we're doing about half the moves in Australia, and we continue to build our freight forwarding business. We are the largest in the world. So, you know, SIRVA is a company on the move, is going to continue to grow and is going to be really strong. So I appreciate Ben taking the time to let me get our story out, especially with, you know, some of the other rumors that have been out there about us, that, you know, we are strong and we are moving forward and plan on really taking over the market, all the markets we're in.
Yeah, very cool. Well, thanks for the time. Thanks for having us here. Hey, thanks everyone for getting here. Get in the comments, leave your well wishes, shout outs, and hit that like button. And we will see you tomorrow at my house.